Assalamu alaikum dear students. Today we are going to discuss trigonometric equations. You know that equation is simply an expression containing an equality. In equation we have the variables, and you know that any particular value of the variable which satisfies the given equation is simply called as a solution. Now here we are discussing trigonometric equations. Equations involving trigonometric functions. You know that trigonometric functions like sin x, cos, tan x, cosec x, and cot x, these are the trigonometric function or the ratios of these trigonometric functions. Now, if any equation containing such functions, that very equation is simply called as the trigonometric equation. Like if we consider tan x equals to 1, here we have the equality, that is we have the equality sign. Now this equation contains the trigonometric function which is tan x, so this special equation is called as the trigonometric equation. Here x is variable, so it can take the different values. Now any value or the any particular value or the any fixed value of this x which satisfies this equation, that is trigonometric equation, is called as the solution of this trigonometric equation. You also know that the trigonometric functions like sin x, like cos x, they repeats the value after an interval of 2 pi. Like if we consider here the circle, and if we consider here the point, let's assume that this angle is x. Now this angle is x. Now here the value at this is simply cos x and sin x. These are the polar coordinates of this point. Now if we start from this point, and if we revolve around this center, and we will reach at this point, now clearly the value of this function, that is cos x as well as the sin x, is same as that the m1, but here the angle changes from x to x plus 2 pi. This means that these functions, that sin x and cos x, repeats its value after an interval of 2 pi. Similarly here tan x and cot x, they also repeats and after an interval of simply pi, because of the that tan and cot or the functions which are defined by sin x and cos x, and cos x and tan x respectively. That is why these two functions repeat its value after an interval of pi. Now here x is the variable here in this equation, so this means that it can take different values. Now if the values lies between 0 and 2 pi, that is any value or the any value of this x which lies between 0 and 2 pi of any trigonometric equation, those solutions are simply called as the principal solutions, while as solution containing n, where n is the integer, like n pi, like 5 pi, like 9 pi, like minus 5 pi, these are called as the general solutions. So we have two types of solution: one the principal solution, and second the general solution. The general solutions are those solutions which simply contain the numbers like 1 2 3 4, or negative minus 1, negative minus 2, negative minus 3. These are called as the general solutions, while as those which lies between 0 and 2 pi, interval 0 and 2 pi, are simply called as the principal solutions. Now if we consider an equation sin x equals to sin y, now we have to solve this equation. That is, here we have two variables, it is trigonometric equation. We have to find the relation between x and y. Now if we consider sin x equals to sin y, which implies that sin x minus sin y equals to 0. Here we have to treat this y as constant, because we are dealing with the trigonometric equations containing only one variable. Here let's assume that x is the variable and y is suppose some fixed number or some constant. Now here sin x minus sin y is 0. By transferring this, now using sin a minus sin b, or sin x minus sin y, it is simply twice cos x plus y upon 2 into sin x minus y upon 2. twice cos x plus y upon 2 into sin x minus y upon 2. Now here this 2 is constant, it is non-zero, so this means that only these two terms are 0, should be 0, that is cos x plus y upon 2 into sin x minus y upon 2 equals to 0. Now here this cos x plus y upon 2 is a real number, sin x minus y upon 2 is a real number, so product of two real numbers is 0 if and only if either one is 0 or another is 0. Like here we should have either cos x plus y upon 2 equals to 0 or sin x plus y upon 2 equals to 0. Now when cos x plus y upon 2 is 0, this means that now cos x plus y upon 2 is 0, but you know that cos x is 0 if and only if x is odd multiple of pi by 2, which implies that here angle is x plus y upon 2. This means that this angle should be odd multiple of pi by 2, that is 2n plus 1 pi by 2. So after solving this, which implies that x plus y equals to 2n plus 1 upon pi, because by cancelling 2 in the denominators, or x equals to 2n plus 1 pi minus y. So the limit equation first. Here these are here 2n plus 1 is only odd multiple, like 1, like 3, like minus 1, like minus 2. Similarly, when second term, that is sin x minus y is y by 2 is 0, this means that this x minus y upon 2 is n pi, because sin is 0 if and only if the value of this the value is n pi or at n pi values. From this we can say that this x minus y equals to 2n pi, or x equals to 2n pi plus y. Here from equation first, the coefficient of pi is odd numbers, and here the coefficient of y is even number. So this means that in both situations we can say that either, but for this odd, but for this even, here the sign of this y is positive, sign of this y is positive. So this means that for odd, sign is positive, sign is negative, and for even multiple of pi, the sign of y is positive. So this means that we can combine these two statements at x equals to n pi, because n pi means either odd multiple or even multiple, because n is here integer, and plus minus 1 raised to power n y, where n belongs to integers. Here, now if we consider 1 to be odd, like plus 3, so it is 3 pi minus 1 raised to power 3, that is minus 1 raised to power odd is always negative. So this means that when the coefficient of pi is negative, the sign of this y is negative, and while if we have n to be even, so this means that coefficient is even, so which represents both these two statements, statement 1 and statement 2. Hence we can say that when sin x equals to sin y, x and y are related as x equals to n pi plus minus 1 raised power n y, where n belongs to z. Here this solution, because x is the solution, here this solution is general solution, because it contains the n, because in this solution we have n, that is why this is the general solution. Now if we have to find the principal solutions, we have to find put the particular values of n, and we have to consider only those values which belongs to interval 0 to 2 pi. Those are the principal values which are obtained by putting the particular values of n. Like if we consider, if we have sin x equals to 0, we have to find the general and the principal solutions of this trigonometric equations. Here trigonometric equation is sin x equals to 0. Since we know that when x is 0, when x is pi, when x is 2 pi, this means that when x is n pi, sin is 0. Sin is 0. So this means that when sin x is 0, if and only if x equals to n pi, x equals to n pi. So x equals to n pi is the general solution for this. because these are the only points, or these are the only angles where the value of sine is 0. So this means that x equals to n pi. It is only possible, sin x is 0, it is only possible when x is n pi. So x equals to n pi satisfies this equation. So it is a solution, it is a general solution, because it contains n. Now we have to find the particular principal solutions. Principal solutions are those which lies between 0 to 2 pi, or which lies in interval 0 and 2 pi. Now when n is 0, because n can take any value, 0 1 2, or 0 minus 1 minus 2 minus 3, so on. So this means that when n is 0, x is 0. X is 0 means it belongs to interval 0 to 2 pi. So it is the principal solution. Similarly, when x is 1, when n is 1, x is n 1 into pi, that is simply pi, which implies that this pi also belongs to 0 to 2 pi. So pi is principal solution. Also, if we have n to be 2, this means that x equals to 2 pi, but 2 pi does not belongs to this interval 0 to 2 pi, because here it is open from this side, that is from 2 pi side, it is open. That's why 2 pi does not belongs to interval 0 to 2 pi. So this means that, or if we consider n to be negative, that is minus pi, minus pi does not belongs to this interval 0 to 2 pi. So this means that we have only two principal solutions. One is 0, second one is pi. Hence, for this, general solution is x equals to n pi, and principal solutions are simply x equals to 0 and x equals to 5. So inshallah, in tomorrow's lecture we will discuss cos x. When cos x equals to cos y, we will discuss this very equation. So thank you.